How's it going, guys? Lewis House here from sportsnetworker.com, and got a cool little interview tonight with Shane Harmon, who is from Ireland but is now in New Zealand, so he's kind of a Kiwi for a little bit, working on the Rugby World Cup for 2011. He does all of the marketing, social media, ticket sales, all that good stuff, and got him tonight for kind of an exclusive interview on the experience he's had so far and where they're at with Rugby World Cup. So, how's it going, Shane?
Hi, everybody.
Good to see you.
You too.
So, tell us a little bit about your experience. You've been with the World Cup before, right, in 2003, is that? So
certainly. I mean, I've worked, this is my second World Cup. Both times I've worked for the local organising committee. Mainly in marketing. The Rugby World Cup model, say, compared to other major events like Olympics or FIFA World Cups, a little bit different in that the only source of revenue to the organising committee is ticketing. So it's pretty important that we maximise that source of revenue. And we've got to sell $268 million of tickets. By international standards, they're big numbers, but by New Zealand standards, they're absolutely off the radar.
How many people are in New Zealand?
A population of 4.5 million, and we've got about 1.6 million tickets to sell. So that's a lot of tickets for a relatively small population.
But you sold a lot in the first opening week, correct?
We've ran through a couple of phases of ticketing now, and at the end of the year we've done about 860,000 tickets, or $168 million. So wow. We've got about $100 million to go between now and tournament time, and we've hit our targets for 2010. We're pretty happy where we're at.
Nice.
We've still got a way to go. So if you're still looking for tickets, go to rugbyworldcup.com/tickets, and you can buy a ticket there today.
There you go. So tell us about you just launched Facebook kind of initiative back in June or July, correct?
Yeah, it was actually June and July of last year, Lewis, and
09?
09, yes.
Okay.
So we've been working on social media for about a year and a half. We've got a fantastic online editor in Claire Wolfenson on board, and she's done a great job in activating Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Flickr. And we've just had great success, really. We didn't really know from the beginning how it was going to go.
Right.
We started with pretty small numbers, but we've got a Facebook base now of around nearly 800,000 fans. And the great thing that's emerged from this is that we've got this really international, disparate fan base, and we look at the origin of each of our fans, and we've got this lovely pie chart. It's a wagon wheel. It's almost like slices of pizza, equal slices of pizza for every country, and we've got this lovely international, good-natured rivalry going on board on Facebook.
So it's not just all people from New Zealand.
No, I mean New Zealand's actually our number 3 country in terms of rankings. So
it's interesting because their Facebook fan page, they have about 600,000-700,000 as well, right? For All Blacks.
For All Blacks, yeah.
But they have an international or worldwide, I guess, fan base.
Yeah, then it's got a great brand. The All Blacks brand
right.
is well known internationally, so they've done some great things too in social media. But while it's been great from an engagement perspective, we have commercial objectives in this, and really it's about selling tickets, and so much so that Facebook is the second biggest driver of traffic to our ticketing website. So it's been very, very successful in terms of getting the ticketing message out there and actually selling tickets. And it's been a great source of engagement with fans for us, because one of our issues is that Rugby World Cup happens once every 4 years. It's a 6-week tournament. There's a huge amount of engagement 6 weeks every 4 years, and then not a lot of engagement outside of those 6 weeks.
Right.
The traffic to the official website jumps 100-fold for 6 weeks every 4 years. So we wanted to look at a way of getting better engagement in the intervening period, and social media has really done that for us.
So what are you guys going to be doing for the next 10 months until the World Cup, I guess, to enhance engagement through all social networks? And I guess, are you creating any new contests or any special things happening that are, I guess, new kind of things that you haven't thought of before, or what are you guys be working on?
Yeah, I think we want to really start giving back, and we want to start doing a lot of promotions. We'll do competitions during 2011. We'll act on that international rivalry.
Sure.
We'll continue to build on that. We've done some apps so far that get people to support a second team, and that's been quite successful. We're looking at mobile apps. We're looking at a whole lot of activation during tournament time. We're looking at geolocation, etc., getting people to check into as many venues as possible during the tournament. So there are a number of things we're looking at, and we'll firm up those plans in the first quarter of next year. So watch this space.
So what's the main goal for you is to sell out tickets, right?
Yes.
So what's the major challenge you have for reaching that goal at the moment?
Probably in New Zealand, it's the first time, and this is by far the biggest event that's ever occurred in New Zealand, and possibly ever will. And ticket prices have been at a level for the major games that are above what New Zealanders are used to paying. So what we decided to do was we put the ticket prices out way in advance of us actually starting to sell tickets to allow people to get used to those prices. The other thing is probably creating a sense of urgency, getting people to act early. People in New Zealand are used to be able to, rocking up on a day and buying tickets at the gate. So trying to change that culture and getting people to act early. But it's creating its own momentum. We've got 85,000 visitors already confirmed for Rugby World Cup, which is massive. That was our target from the beginning. We've already locked in 85,000. So there's no reason why that number can't keep rising. And we've found at some matches that the number of tickets sold have been stronger overseas than locally, and I think that's because some of the locals are used to buying tickets closer to the event. And what we're saying to them now is that some of these matches, the tickets are going to be getting quite scarce. So get in early and make sure you get your experience.
So what are you guys doing to, I guess, with sponsorships? How are you leveraging social media to increase sponsorships, or is that part of the package, or do you kind of have your hands tied with that?
We don't manage sponsorships directly ourselves because the tournament owners, the International Rugby Board and their wholly owned entity, Rugby World Cup Limited, manage the sponsor relationships directly. But we work closely with sponsors. We've done quite a bit of activity with MasterCard, for example. We've given MasterCard companies, customers, double entries into the ballot to win tickets for the semi-finals and finals, or the right to purchase tickets. And we've done some social media work with MasterCard. MasterCard have come on board and sponsored some of our apps. So we will look to engage with sponsors over the next 9 months. Sponsors like DHL, Heineken, etc. To look at what they're doing from a digital perspective and to see how we can collaborate and work together.
So how important do you think is, I guess, social media been in the whole experience for selling tickets? I mean, Facebook and Twitter, you're just starting to do more on Twitter, although you don't have the biggest fan base like you do on Facebook. But how important do you think it is for the overall success of selling tickets? Do you feel like if you didn't have a Facebook or social media, I guess, platform, would you be as successful, or would you reach your goals, or is it a huge part of, I guess, the success over the next year?
I'd say it's a huge part, and particularly from an international perspective. I mean, we don't have the marketing budgets to do major above-the-line campaigns internationally.
Right.
So Facebook for us has probably been the number one activation to actually sell tickets to fans around the world. It's been amazing from a customer service perspective. If you go to our discussion board, you'll see discussions on ticketing with hundreds of comments on threads. That we've answered every single inquiry, and some of them might not be happy. They may not have got the tickets they applied for. They may have missed out. They may have had a bad experience.
Right.
And we deal and answer every single one of those inquiries in a transparent manner, and that's helped us. And I think people have appreciated that we've engaged with fans online, and it's been very successful. And as I said, it's been the number 2 driver of traffic to our ticketing website. So from a monetization perspective, it's worked a treat.
How much, I guess, have you guys invested financially into social media? Has it been a little amount, a large amount, or
as a percentage of our overall marketing budget, it's probably been low single digits. So big return for very little investment.
so less than 10%?
Less than 10%. Yeah.
And it's been the number 2 kind of traffic driver, and you're able to connect one-on-one with the potential customer.
Exactly. And look, but we haven't done it in isolation. We've tried to integrate social media into a lot of our offline activity as well. So we'll have clear links from our e-newsletters to our social media platforms. On our advertising campaigns, we've had links to our social media. So, while we've been doing stuff offline, we've been having the online stuff working at the same time. So we try to create that level of integration between the online and offline, and that's worked quite well. Hopefully when we approach our 1 millionth fan in the near future, around March or April of next year, we'll drive a lot of PR around that.
Sure.
That will hopefully increase the profile as well.
Sure. So what about for people who are running marketing for other type of large events, whether it be just a tournament, maybe not on this level, or someone doing World Cup type of tournament in soccer or Super Bowl? what would your advice be for them on either using or not using social media, or how valuable or how much should they put into it?
Well, my first piece of advice is to secure your vanity URL earlier on. So with your event, go to Facebook, Twitter, and there are a few services online where you can secure your URL across multiple social media platforms. You may not end up using it, but my advice is to secure it earlier. My other piece of advice is not to date it, so don't put a 2011 or 2010 at the end of it. If your event is ongoing, make it the generic brand so that it's got a life beyond that event.
So Rugby World Cup, not Rugby World Cup 2011.
So
right.
the asset that we've built over the course of the last year and a half, we will pass that on to England 2015 and then Japan 2019. So it's going to be a tremendous asset for Rugby World Cup ongoing. The second part is get in early. Promote your page. One of the great things about sports is that fans are so passionate about it. You actually, we did a little bit of Facebook advertising early on and it worked really well. Very, very, very high click-through rates, low CPMs or low cost per acquisition in terms of fans to the page, and that helped us drive some initial growth.
Right.
We don't need to do that advertising anymore because the virality has kicked in and has spread really well. And it's to experiment with different content. So try video, try polls, try stories, try human interest stories. Create some fan stories. Don't focus on purely what happens on the field itself. I think people are as much interested in what's happening off the field. We are looking at some activities around tournament time, video content of everything that's happening off the field. On the field will be covered through all of the media channels. People will not be able to escape what's happening on the field. But
right.
We want to create a uniquely New Zealand flavour to this tournament as well. So we'll be creating a lot of video content around the festival that's happening around the country, around fan stories, and giving it a real human interest angle as opposed to just what's happening on the field.
Not just news, but making them a reason for them to come back.
Exactly.
Awesome. So where can people find you online, Shane?
Facebook.com/Rugby World Cup, Twitter.com/Rugby World Cup, Flickr.com/Rugby World Cup, and YouTube.com/Rugby World Cup.
What's your personal Twitter for people who want to connect with you?
Shane_Harmon. Lewis is speaking me to Stephen about losing the underscore, and I will do that as soon as it becomes available. But you can follow me at Shane_Harmon on Twitter, and I'm active in the whole digital and social media and sports marketing. Met Lewis through Twitter, and I've met a lot of sports marketers around the world through Twitter. It's been fantastic from my perspective in terms of building up a network, and I have a lot of fun there. So see you on Twitter.
Awesome. Thanks.
Cheers.